Is rolling out a new flavor, and if you've got a sweet tooth, this one might be for you. The company is teamed up with IHOP to create Pepsi Maple Syrup Cola as a combination of caramel and syrup. The can is kind of interesting there. There are only 2,000 cans up for grabs. The social media giveaway to try it out ends next Tuesday. And earlier today, Amanda said that her husband you've caught him drinking syrup. Did you get in trouble for that?
No, because I didn't tell him, and I don't think he was watching.
Thank God for that. All right, I'm hosting CSL coming up next. Stay tuned.
Now, live from the home of Queen City News, it's CSL Charlotte Sports Live.
Duke is advancing. Coach K now heading to his last Final Four after the win over Arkansas. Good evening and welcome to Charlotte Sports Live. I'm Morgan Francis. Someone thought it would be a good idea to let me have free reign of the show, so let's go right to the scoreboard here. The Blue Devils held on to a double-digit lead over the Razorbacks, led by Paolo Banchero. The forward had 16 points at last check with 7 rebounds. Duke and Arkansas were really exchanging blows early, but the Blue Devils started to pull away thanks to some costly fouls that sent Banchero to the free throw line. They would go on to win this one 76-61. I believe that's the updated score. We're hoping to get something more up to date. But yeah, breaking news that they are headed to the Final Four. The Tar Heels hope to punch their ticket to the Final Four tomorrow when they play number 15 seed St. Peter's. More on them in just a bit, but let's see how North Carolina got to where they are. The Tar Heels sent UCLA packing last night, but it was a bit of an eventful game. UNC was down going into the half, but managed to rally for 73-66 victory. This is UNC's 27th Elite Eight appearance. That's the second most in tournament history. It was also their 129th victory in the tournament, which ties Kentucky for the all-time lead. Caleb Love led all scorers in last night's game with 30 points. Armando Bacot also having his presence felt in the paint. The forward logged 145 boards to go along with 14 points scored on the night.
Ivy for the tie. Off the rim, and it's over. This miracle run continues for St. Peter's.
You gotta love it. The Tar Heels will take on the biggest Cinderella story of the tournament as the number 15 seed St. Peter's dropped the number 3 Purdue on Friday. In doing so, St. Peter's becomes the first 15 seed in tournament history to reach the Elite Eight. The Peacocks were a 13-point underdog going into this game. This is clearly a team that has no problem playing against the odds. So now UNC will go into tomorrow's game as the heavy favorite, but you got to think that St. Peter's has momentum on their side as they continue to play the role of giant killers. Tar Heels players have played against and beat some of the nation's best this season, but what's the scouting report like on St. Peter's?
I saw highlights of them play against, Kentucky? I haven't really, we just played the game last night, so, they're a good team, so, yeah.
Yeah, just to piggyback on RJ, same thing. We seen bits and pieces, but, that's why we got practice today. We'll go over them today.
Yeah, quick lesson there. So you heard it there. The players know as much about St. Peter's as you and I do, but they were working to get more familiar with the competition today. Tip-off for tomorrow night's game is set for 5:05. Right now, the Tar Heels are favored by 8.5 points. Turning to the women's bracket, that Tar Heels season comes to a close with a loss to top-seeded South Carolina. Sophomore guard Deja Kelly posted some big numbers in last night's game, but her 23 points just weren't enough in the end. The Gamecocks would take this one 69-61. In less than 24 hours, the Hornets will be in Brooklyn to take on the Nets in a game that could help Charlotte improve their playoff position. Right now, the Hornets are sitting at 9th in the Eastern Conference, but they're just a half a game behind the Nets, and a win tomorrow would move them into the 8th seed. Charlotte FC fans out again in full force tonight, and they were treated to a shutout win thanks in part to Karol Swinderski's 2 goals. And that makes the club's second straight win over FC Cincinnati, and that's what we call a win streak here at Charlotte Sports Live. Christian Kalina did what he did best, his impersonation of a brick wall, letting nothing get by him in the goal. And Swinderski, better known as the Polish Pistol, has 4 of the team's 6 goals on the season. Charlotte FC will travel to the city of brotherly love a week from today to take on the Philadelphia Union.
As I sit here right now, he's on the roster. He's he's in the lead for that job. We want him to take it and run with it. But we're going to add a lot of competition to that room. The whole emphasis is to stabilize that quarterback position and play winning football, and that's what we're working towards.
General Manager Scott Fitterer says Sam Darnold is the starting quarterback for now, but the team's still looking to add some new blood to create some competition. So will that be done in the draft or in free agency? Well, Kunkel is dropping in to let us know what the Panthers need to do to put themselves into a winning position.
All right, Morgan, there is a lot to break down from this press conference by Scott Fitterer yesterday. We asked a lot of questions, and we got a lot of answers. And we're going to start where we have the biggest question and not quite an answer yet, and that's the QB spot. It's the most important position in all of sports, and you guys out there, do not be mad at me. I'm just the messenger right now. But after missing on Deshaun Watson, the Panthers starting quarterback is the same one as last year. It is Sam Darnold at this point, and I think that's a good thing. Just bear with me, though, okay? Sam Darnold is your starter right now, but Scott made it very clear as well that Sam's got, 1, to get better, and 2, that he wants to add to this quarterback room. But how do you do that? It's not about when or if, that's how they do it, because they're going to do it. I promise you that. Do they bring in a veteran, or do they draft a rookie and add to the room for the future? So if they do a veteran, I think it's someone like Cam Newton. But if you bring in Cam Newton, then they got to be on the same page. They can't be over here, and he can't be battling for a position that he doesn't think that he can win. So with that being said, Scott Fitterer did say that door is still open. But here's the position that I think that should happen for Cam to come back, and this is what would make a successful comeback story again for Cam. Okay, he comes back, and he agrees that he is going to start, or at least fight for the starting position. But if he doesn't, that he is a red zone quarterback, or he is a quarterback near the goal line or in short yardage situations. He is not the quarterback of 2015. He is no longer the MVP of the NFL, okay? Sam Darnold isn't a good enough quarterback either, so you got to mesh those two and use them at what they do things well at. That way you have at least one good quarterback. The other is the offensive line. I think they're still going to do work on the offensive line, and they must still do work on the defensive line. The offensive line is significantly better than it was when we ended the season. The defensive line is significantly worse, I would say, after last season was over, because Hassan Reddick signed for a $15 million a year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. That was your leading sack master. He had 11 sacks last year. So if you have Brian Burns and no Hassan Reddick, Brian Burns is going to get double teamed every single time. So they have got to add to that. So with all of that said, this is what I think the Panthers should do in the NFL draft on April 28th as it sits now. They have the 6th overall pick. What they need to do is take advantage of a team that wants a quarterback. Use that anxiety against that general manager and that head coach and trade back and get a haul of picks, because they have the 6th overall pick and then they have the 137th overall pick. That is a huge gap for this team, and there are too many holes in this roster to have that many picks go by without them taking anybody. So that's what they should do, and then they can address offensive line, they can address defensive line, and they can even address linebacker or quarterback as well. I also think that it's likely that they take a quarterback, but not at 6. If they take a quarterback at 6, it is a bad pick. I think I covered most of it, at least the significant portions. If I missed anything, you can find me on Twitter at WillKunkelFox. I posted a lot of video and a lot of quotes from Scott Fitterer yesterday. So, Morgan, I hope I did you justice, and thank you again for hosting CSL tonight. You're the best.
I think I'm going to need to replay that. You're the best over and over again, coming from Will Kunkel. All right, thanks, Will. All right, let's take a closer look now at where the Panthers are drafting. Will just mentioned possibly trading down for more picks. That might not be a bad idea. The team has just 1 pick in the first 3 rounds, but it's a good one, the 6th overall pick. After that, their next pick isn't until the 4th round with the 137th overall selection. Got any thoughts on who you'd like to see the Panthers draft? We know you do, so why don't you let us know? Get out your phone, scan this image on your screen. That will send you a link to the CSL Twitter page, and there you can follow the latest on Panthers and all things Charlotte sports. And you can also sound off on what this Panthers team needs to do to climb out of the cellar. We need to hear from you, so why don't you chime in on Twitter? Quarterback Deshaun Watson is hoping for a fresh start in Cleveland, why he may not be able to shake the allegations that continue to follow him. And a historic hire for the University of South Carolina, why Lamont Paris believes he's ready for the SEC after his time in Chattanooga. And the Panthers are teaming up with CMS for some girl power. The team's now fighting for a chance to play at Bank of America Stadium. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Recapping the action from the men's bracket, the Duke Blue Devils have punched their ticket to the Final Four, giving Coach K one last shot at another championship. They won big over Arkansas not long ago. Duke will play the winner of tomorrow's game between UNC and St. Peter's, and Villanova is advancing to the Final Four after topping Houston tonight 50-44. This is the third trip to the semifinals for the Wildcats in the last 6 tournaments. In Columbia today, the University of South Carolina introduced their new coach of the men's basketball team. Lamont Paris was introduced as the Gamecocks' new head coach. Paris is the first African-American head coach across the school's biggest programs, football, basketball, and baseball. Delivering his first public comments as the Gamecocks coach, he says he's ready to make the jump from Chattanooga to the SEC.
I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be the coach of this institution and to be the face of this program as we move forward. Embracing the past while building for the future is something that I definitely want to do. I respect the past. I embrace the past. There have been some really good players and coaches here, and without that past, there is no future. So I want to welcome all former players to coming back to being a part of what we do.
Paris's contract is worth $12 million. In a previous position with Chattanooga, he was making $250,000 a year. We like to call that a modest raise. I wonder what influenced his decision. He will be the team's 33rd head coach. USC women's team still in the big dance as they prepare for their Final Four matchup tomorrow against Creighton. Forward Aaliyah Boston trained with Tim Duncan over the summer. Her teammates say she's as powerful and as quiet as the former NBA star. Her coach has been impressed by how Boston just goes about her business on the court, saying she never thinks about the numbers she's putting up. For Dawn Staley, she says Boston is well-grounded and well aware of the national spotlight put on her. The weight of helping carry Carolina isn't a burden to Boston, as she's found balance in Columbia.
Personal life, I think she's more friendly. I think she's got socially, I think she's balancing, because she's been all about basketball, books and basketball, and really Netflix and taking naps. But I do think she's got a space where she's doing a lot more, and that's where I'm most happy, because life isn't just about that, but it is about prioritizing.
The Gamecocks will take on Creighton in the Final Four tomorrow night at 7. Deshaun Watson was introduced as the Browns' starting quarterback this week, but few questions from reporters were focused on football. Peggy Gallick has more from the press scrum as the controversial QB tries to clear his name and have a fresh start.
New Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson walking into a news conference, but not talking much football.
Almost every question focused on lawsuits filed in Texas by 22 women accusing him of sexual misconduct. The I-Team asked what so many of you are asking. What can you tell us about what actually happened with these women? Are you saying that they all just made this up? They're all lying? What actually happened?
All I can say is, again, I never assaulted, I never disrespected, and I never harassed any woman in my life. I wasn't raised that way.
How did we get from 0 to 22 lawsuits?
I mean, I can't control that. The only thing I can control is continue to clear my name.
We used independent, investigative resources.
The Browns general manager said the team did its own investigation before giving Watson a $230 million contract.
Watson under a spotlight for going on social media and meeting women for massages.
With this now day and age, especially with my age group, social media is a big business part that goes into it. So that's, a factor into it. But as far as the details, I can't get too far into it because there's an investigation going on.
And the attorneys for Deshaun Watson say 2 grand juries heard testimony in these cases, and both grand juries declined to indict him.
The I-Team also wondered what's going on with the NFL's investigation. A spokesperson told us that's still ongoing. The NFL is monitoring legal developments, and the NFL has no timetable on when any decision might be made about whether or not Deshaun Watson violated the league's personal conduct policy.
We have to wait and let it play out in the court of law.
The I-Team also sat down with a lawyer helping to defend Watson. She told us how she hopes he learns from the fallout of contacting women on social media.
Son, when you're in this place that you are in your life right now, you have to be very careful with the people that you let in your circle.
Watson says he wants to prove himself to you.
As a person, I'm genuine. I'm hardworking, servant leader who loves to be social in the community, who loves to give back.
Earlier this year, officials in Texas decided not to pursue charges after 22 women accused Watson of sexual assault. Carolina Panthers wide receiver Shi Smith has been arrested. Deputies in Union County, South Carolina, say Wide Smith was charged with unlawful carrying of a handgun, speeding, and drug possession. Queen City News reached out to the Carolina Panthers about the arrest. The team says this is a pending legal matter and there will be no further comment at this time. Smith has a court date scheduled for June. A violent crash in racing today. Driver Mick Schumacher was airlifted to the hospital after this wreck during his qualifying run for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. The son of the 7-time world champion Michael Schumacher lost control of his car around turn 9 and slammed into the barrier. Schumacher was conscious when medical crews arrived on scene. He is expected to be okay. There's one less option for the Panthers at quarterback. The latest moves in a busy NFL offseason. And the Panthers are teaming up with CMS to get more girls involved with flag football. An early return to Friday Night Lights ahead. I tend to read Spring may have just started, but we are already seeing the return of Friday Night Lights. For the first time ever, CMS and the Carolina Panthers hosted opening night of high school girls flag football. 20 teams from across the area were at Huff High School in Cornelius. That's where Queen City News anchor Ryan Kruger got to witness some gridiron history.
1, 2, 3, go! When the game is tight, number 1, Fahesa Woods for Garinger High School makes a key stop, pulling out the flag to keep the Rocky River Ravens out of the end zone. Her aunt and uncle were cheering from the sidelines.
She had us practicing flag football with her for about 2-3 weeks in a row before she got out here.
Friday night was opening night for high school girls flag football. It's a partnership between CMS and the Carolina Panthers. And for parents and students alike, it's a whole new experience.
She's a freshman, so she's just kind of, getting she's a little wet behind the ears with, juggling different sports.
The games are fast-paced. There are no huddles. It's non-stop action. Chambers and Huff, arch rivals in boys football. The game was just as intense with flag football. Shawnee Wade's daughter, number 12, was always on the sidelines at those games as a cheerleader, and now it's her turn on the field.
I was surprised when she wanted to try out, but I encouraged it because it's definitely out of her element.
Flag football is a sanctioned varsity sport in 6 states, and the goal of this new league is to get more girls involved in sports. But the fans, they're having a lot of fun too.
I was really surprised to see so many students out here from different schools that really participated, because it is the first year, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So hopefully that is something that they can actually, continue.
That was Ryan Kruger reporting. It was tough work for those teams Friday night. Each team played 2 games, and the championship game will be played May 15th under the bright lights at Bank of America Stadium. Pretty cool stuff there. All right, speaking of football, let's take a look at what's happening around the league. Keyshawn Nixon is headed to the Packers. The decision to sign the free agent cornerback came after Green Bay lost Chandon Sullivan to the Vikings. And one last QB option for the Panthers. The Browns are signing quarterback Jacoby Brissett. He'll be on his 4th NFL team, most recently playing 11 games for Miami last season. Brissett was a 3rd-round pick by the Patriots in 2016 before he was traded to the Colts. The Browns are trying to bolster their quarterback room and most recently acquired Deshaun Watson from the Texans. As of now, last year's starting quarterback Baker Mayfield is still on the roster, but he has requested a trade. And 2 teenagers are getting free tickets to the Patriots home opener for their heroic act last week. Connor and Seamus Collins helped to stop a runaway school bus after the driver suffered a fatal medical event on March 14th. Team owner Robert Kraft invited the teens to the game himself on a Zoom call with them. A rising star with Charlotte's newest team. Stay right there. I'm handing out our QC crown when Charlotte Sports Live returns. Fans call him the Polish Pistol, but tonight I'm going to call him the Polish Prince because he's got my QC crown. We're talking about Karol Swinderski. The Charlotte FC forward led the team to their second straight win, and his presence really being felt in both games. On Monday, he was named to the MLS Team of the Week, and with his latest performance, he might find his way there again. Swinderski scored 2 goals tonight to lead Charlotte to a 2-0 win over Cincinnati. He scored twice in the team's first win over the New England Revolution. Polish Pistol has scored 4 of the team's 5 goals in the last 2 games. All right, thanks so much for joining me here on Charlotte Sports Live. You guys have a good night.